Well, my name is Moses Barron. I've been with Calvary Chapel close to 2 years. I was brought up in a Christian home, and my parents were divorced when I was 7, and people would ask me, how you doing with this? And I would just say, oh, I'm good, whatever, I'm cool. So I'd play it off. But it's interesting looking back at the behavior that I displayed. It was obvious that it was a little more traumatic than I wanted to let on at the time. And then when I was 15, my dad was having trouble, just I guess food on the table, so to speak, just with income and everything. And I think it kind of formed a depression that caused him to want to end his life. It was kind of faith breaking, in a sense that the person that has been teaching me about the Lord all my life would have his own breakdown in faith like that, and an attempt to take his life that was hard for me. And then I just remember now, just kind of as a teen, just having a lot of anger. I don't know, like I had daydreams of like committing acts of arson on churches and things like that. Just I was pretty bitter. Getting into drinking and pot, and started there, and then just whatever else. I wasn't afraid to try many things. I experimented, did some stupid things. And in light of all my selfish living, I knew that ultimately I'd want to have a family, and I wanted to have a successful marriage, as both my parents had several spouses, and I didn't want to have that kind of pattern in my life. If I start going back to church, that's really the only chance I'm going to have, of really finding someone. So I started looking for churches, and this woman approached me after an evening service, on a Sunday night. So everybody let out. I was still sitting in my pew, and everybody's shuffling out, and she stops and says, "Hey, I don't normally do this, but if Jesus came back tonight, would you go?" And I just was like, "No." So she offered to pray with me, and so I went up, with her and several other people, and I prayed to receive Christ, rededicated my life, and there was definitely a sense of forgiveness and a sense of burdens lifted, and just all the, I guess, just shame, guilt, all being lifted up and just taken away. And I really felt like born again at that time. That was really when I was just like, oh man, God really did an amazing work in me, and I just felt the Holy Spirit so strong. I had I think what we call permagrin, for about 3 days, where I was just like this smile, couldn't wipe it off. To this day, I'm really just grateful for the work that Christ did in me. That He didn't put me through a lot of turmoil to bring me back. God was never nervous. He wasn't worried about it. It's like He knew I was coming back. He was, He had me on a slow reel. For anybody who thinks maybe that it's not for them, well, to answer that, everybody needs Jesus right out of the gate. But I know people have been hurt too. In the church, we as followers of Christ, I believe we want to set a standard for ourselves to really represent Christ, but we fall short. Ultimately, no matter who's hurt you and in what way, God's love is real, and there's healing in Jesus. It doesn't matter what anybody's gone through. No one's sinned so great that He won't welcome them in, and whatever it is, it doesn't compare. To just being in His presence, and the knowledge that we will be with Him one day, and He's got gifts that we can't fathom.